We continue our election coverage now with Minnesota Senator Tina Smith, who just won re-election against her challenger, Jason Lewis. Senator Smith, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Well, thank you. It's great to be with you.
Yeah, so we know this was a hard-fought race. We all saw those commercials. We saw the polls tightening just a little bit before that election. What do you think it was that really put you over the top?
Well, I think that there were so many negative ads and so many so many attempts to really divide us and to drive us apart. And I honestly think that at the end of the day, Minnesotans are pretty practical people. They don't wake up in the morning thinking I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. They wake up trying to figure out how to make their lives work. And I think that that was the message of our campaign. I've focused, in 2 elections in 3 years, I have really focused on what I can do to deliver results for people. And I think that was a little bit of a breath of fresh air for folks.
Although, Senator Smith, don't you think that looking at the vote totals coming in, that we are looking at a state where people are voting more straight party line than I think a lot of experts thought they would in this election, particularly? Joe Biden got about 1.6 million votes in this state. You got about 1.5 million. People aren't crossing over party lines, I think, as much as some people who would consider themselves more moderate would expect.
It's a really good point. We have always had a strong independent section of voters in Minnesota. I think if you look at how people identify themselves, roughly a third of Minnesotans identify themselves as independents. And they, more likely than not vote with Democrats or Republicans, depending on, depending. So I think you're right. And I think it just puts more emphasis on those of us that hold elected office to find ways that we can work across party lines, because that's what people need us to do in this moment. And as I was thinking last night, I represent the entire state, not just the people who voted for me, and it's important to keep that in mind.
Senator, I wonder how we do that, though, because what these results, at least so far, have shown us is that we are a very divided country here. And of course, we don't know who the president will be at this point, but how do we move forward? How do we bridge those divides?
Yeah. Well, it's easy not to do it. Let's just be honest. It's a lot easier just to sort of stay in your corner and talk to the people that already agree with you. The challenge, I think, for all of us, and especially those of us that are in elected office, is to actively try to find places where you can agree with people. And I tried to talk about this in the election, in the campaign. An example is that you could be Republican or Democrat, but you still really think that it's important to have rural broadband. You might be a Democrat or a Republican, but you care about whether there's good mental health care services in your schools. These are issues that I've been able to find common ground with my Republican colleagues on, and I think it's even more important to do that now because we see such great division. And let's be honest, the national political parties and all of the money in politics kinds of fuels that sense of division. There's really not anybody out there that's trying to fuel the sense of shared commitment and shared common ground, and that's what I'm going to try to do as much as I can.
Senator, we're all waiting, of course, to see who ends up with 270 electoral votes, waiting for a number of states to still come in on the presidential side. But when you look at Congress, I think a lot of the experts and a lot of Democrats thought this was going to be a repeat of 2018 when we saw a bit of a blue wave. We haven't really seen that, have we?
We really haven't. To be honest, we've seen some wins and some losses, and it looks like we're not going to see a shift in control of the United States Senate. We're still waiting for lots of votes to be counted, though, and I think we all are just going to have to be patient over the next couple of days. I was saying to my family, everybody grab a cup of coffee and take a deep breath, and we just have to make sure that all these votes get counted, and then we'll know where we are.
Senator Tina Smith, congratulations, and we appreciate your time this morning.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.